Alright, I've got a whole lot of stuff to cover again, a whole lot of interesting. I meant to start my day off yesterday on a certain project, and that didn't happen because I got sidetracked onto all this. So, what kicked it off yesterday was the food. And tons of orders of foods coming in. It's pretty typical to see updates or amendments to old solicitations that generally say something like various subsistence items for use in U.S. food aid programs or bulk agricultural commodities for use in U.S. international food aid programs. And I still note those because I note food in general because I don't like the control of it that's going on. But yesterday, these were all for use in domestic food assistance programs. And it was just coming in one right after another. It was cracker products, processed cereals, fortified cereal products, vegetable oil products, corn totes products, wheat flour products, peanut products, sunflower seed butter products, corn product, whole wheat tortillas, whole wheat pancakes, macaroni and cheese, rice products, and then today bakery flour came in, and it's all indefinite quantity, indefinite delivery, so they're not going to tell you, how much they actually need in the solicitation, and they set it up so it's renewable without having to solicit for it again. So they can go through these, whoever gets awarded to, as many times as they want without ever having to post another solicitation so we wouldn't know about it. So that's just not normal. So I thought that I would bring that up. And, I bring that up too because it made me think about something that happened about 2 weeks ago, and I hadn't reported on yet, where there was stuff just flying through one after another, after another, after another. And what that was leases on buildings. And we're not talking, pick-up options on turnover contracts for space previously occupied or anything like that. These were new leases. They're going to stick something totally new in there. And they were specific to area. And, this was over a period of, I want to say, 2 or 3 days. And just coming through fast. So in Texas, there was Austin, San Angelo, El Paso, Wichita Falls, McAllen, Laredo, Bryan, Fort Worth, Houston, and Houston. Oklahoma, there was Bartlesville, Anadarko, and more. Louisiana was Mandeville, Iberia, Baton Rouge, and Lacombe. And Homa. There was a $12 million lease in Denver, 2 in Wichita, Kansas, 1 in Kansas City, Missouri, and then in Nebraska there was North Platte, Valentine, and Lenexa. And those just all came in brand new leases over a 2 or 3 day period. So those really stuck out like a sore thumb to me. Don't know what's going in there. They all came out through the GSA. So they're not going to tell us who's moving into those buildings. But definitely interesting. Now I want to move into a couple here and there items. Some of these are just interesting or educational, or you read it and you can't help but theorize just a little bit. But some of these are older, most of them are just from within the past week. but this one's from January, and it was just listed as a blasting agent. And you click it up, and sometimes they give you lots of information, and they tell you exactly what it is and what they want it for. And this was actually for USGS had a requirement for explosives needed for seismic imaging. So they were doing detonations that it says were to take place this past February and March along the San Andreas. And the shot sites were 1 to 3 miles apart, and at some points 5 to 20 miles apart. So they were just going right down the line. And they were going at depths of about 180 feet, which, that's not too deep, I don't think. Just interesting, the timing and everything. Also on the seismic stuff, some of you might really find this interesting. Paleoliquefaction studies in moderate seismicity regions with a history of large events. So that would be like, your New Madrid area. Just saying. Oh yeah, and also that came out of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Just interesting. Social media monitoring. Now, this came out of the Department of the Navy, so I know that there's going to be some of you out there who immediately write it off as OPSEC operations. But we have to remember what happened in 2005 when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was caught monitoring and blogging disinformation on public websites in the Midwest. Also, just not everything on FBO is as it seems, so I have found out. And I'll give you an example of that. Here was a request for information on barriers, fences, and Jersey walls. And this came out of the Department of the Navy. And now the solicitation says it was issued by the Department of the Navy on the main page. But the logo was for the SPAWAR, the Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command. And you open it up, and in the description it tells you it's from Homeland Security. So what do they not have their tentacles plugged into? So they bounce things around, and they're trying to make it harder for people to figure out where this stuff is actually coming out of. But that one was kind of interesting too. It was for concrete barriers and stuff like that, to put outside buildings for the emergency response community. So if this had just, I normally wouldn't have clicked on something like this because the Department of the Navy already has barriers and stuff set out outside most of the gates for all their bases, if not all. They started doing that right after 9/11. And so it wouldn't freak me out to see them ordering that kind of stuff. But to see that when you open it up, it's Department of Homeland Security, and they're talking about to halt vehicle-borne traffic to protect physical assets and facilities, which is what they do for the bases. And they can also be used as a second line of defense to shield from blasts and explosions caused by the detonation of a car bomb. And then it goes into talking about how it's actually for emergency responders, for DHS first responders like fire departments and police stations. So that makes it a little bit more interesting, doesn't it? More interesting is there was like no information when you open this to tell you what it is. I just thought it was funny because the title is Enhanced Human Performance, and that came out of the Department of the Navy. And it was just a change. They amended it because it had originally gone out end of April or something. And originally the title was Metabolic Engineering by Selection. And the only thing that they went in and changed apparently was the name to Enhanced Human Performance. But it really doesn't tell you anything about what it was, really. It's for research and development. This one was interesting. Online access to Boeing DC-8 aircraft maintenance data. And this came out of NASA. So NASA has a requirement for online access to the Boeing web portal in order to have immediate 24-hour per day access to aircraft maintenance documents, engineering drawings, spare parts, online ordering, data and services catalog, notices to news service bulletins, technical media tracking, Boeing digital profile drawings, airplane tooling services, maintenance tooling, online ordering system, and other features of this specialized web portal. And they want all documents plus other documents. And so they're contracting with Boeing directly, of course. But it was interesting. Let's see. The EPA wants to measure the effects of air pollutants on humans all of a sudden. Quality Assurance Auditing Support Program for the Assessment of Human Exposure. I wonder what kind of pollutants. Alongside that was Cancer Prevention Agent Development Program, Early Phase Clinical Research. They're really jumping on the cancer stuff in the past month. They really want to do a lot of cancer prevention stuff. I can't imagine why. This one actually got sent to me by Purple Cow, which I'll note down below. Purple Cow is spelled interestingly. Thank you for sending this in. This is for mortuary services. This really isn't too far out of the ordinary, other than, it's something we just don't think about or want to think about. But it's mortuary services for HHS and NIH, and that's for people they're testing drugs and treatments on that were either too far gone or NIH didn't get it right. But, that's stuff that we tend to not think about or not want to think about. And it is something to think about. How many people have died testing this stuff? And God knows what half this stuff is for. Really. Let's see. This one really does not say what it is, but the dollar amount really bugged me. It just said commercial, indefinite quantity, indefinite delivery, Department of Homeland Security, FEMA. This came out of grants, and this is a straight out $650 million grant that is going to be split between 3 agencies immediately. And it's for future disaster operations. Emphasis on riverine, coastal flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes, typhoons, earthquakes, and tsunamis. They got to cover it all because, they can't just say what it is that they might be expecting. So FEMA, we think disaster or emergency relief. And I guess they're branching out as much as DHS in general is. Getting a bit distracted. Kind of like it was ICE that was shutting down websites and blogs this past December and January. Well, FEMA, you know, both DHS agencies, they're stepping out of their realm. This is interesting. Louisiana Archeological Survey, Department of Homeland Security, FEMA. Gulf Coast Recovery Office. Just interesting. I read that, and it made me think about another one that I'd seen, so I went back and pulled up that one. And that was for American Samoa, Archaeological Monitoring, Department of Homeland Security, FEMA. Yeah, you tell me what that is. A couple of us have some thoughts on what that is. Let's see if they match up. So going into DHS and American Samoa made me think of something else, because I've got so much information backlogged, you guys. It's not even funny. I have had to flag easily over 1,000 solicitations, and so it's just taken me a little while to get all this out. I'm sorry, but I have a lot to do. So this was for, guess what? More PSOs. This one's brand new. This just came out May 4th. And it's specifically for Pacific Islands, Hawaii, Guam, Saipan, and American Samoa. Same as the other ones, you guys. Department of Homeland Security. This is new hirings. This is not turnovers. So that link will be out there for you. Oh, more Homeland Security. I love Homeland Security. They're so much fun. Daily News Media Monitoring and Analysis Service. And this is coming out of ICE. ICE is all over the place. Well, they're concerned about what's getting out there and what's being talked about. So they want to monitor, and they're hiring a contractor specifically to do that for them because they can't keep up with the heavy load of information that's flying around about them. Because, you know, got to get rid of that First Amendment. Don't want people talking. Most of us already know how that works with YouTube and Google. But that's a long one. It's pretty interesting if you read it. Let's see, DHS HSIN Program Management Support. And it goes into this blah, blah, blah in the period after the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. And I'm sorry, you know what? I know that that was tragic, but having that come from them just makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me nauseous. So HSIN is the Homeland Security Information Network. And it actually evolved out of Department of Defense, state and local law enforcement programs. So these are their partnerships. These are the grants that they have been giving out to your policemen on a local level and your state patrolmen, and making them connect with them so that they can work together in this partnership, this cooperative partnership. It's a way of them monitoring the policemen themselves and keeping track of what's happening everywhere. So they want to make sure that they get that system for collaborative communication so it can be used in routine daily functions for information sharing and, you know, control. This was funny coming out of DHS too. Support Services for the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA requests. And I find that highly amusing because I've done so much work on DHS stuff. And I know for a fact that Department of Homeland Security doesn't even have to answer FOIAs. Or they can simply, and this is what they do more often than not, they can simply answer how they want, with as much or as little information as they want, whatever meets their needs. So, of course, the databases for Homeland Security, FOIA, comes out of Missouri. Because I'm not joking, you guys. They are moving everything to Missouri. If it's not already there, they're like moving it there. They want all the national databases there. I'm not kidding. Pay attention to that. So yeah, that's amusing. Now here's some stuff you guys might really like. Installation of an isokinetic aerosol inlet on the NASA Langley Research Center's B-200 aircraft. Yeah, that's exactly what you think it is. That's an award that's already been given out to Weather Modification Incorporated, and I'm going to post a whole bunch of links. Because this wasn't even really a solicitation at all. It was just a direct award saying, well, we're doing this because the schedule is of utmost importance to the DEVOTE project due to compressed project life. So, you know, this actually, looking this up, it took me to the, DEVOTE project, GODDARD, the CALIPSO satellite, the GLORY satellite, the one that just recently crashed, test zones in Africa, LIDAR, which is light detection and ranging to measure distance and stuff. And as it turns out, what they're doing as far as speaking about this publicly is they're making it sound like they're just the aerosol that they're speaking of, they make it sound like it's they're measuring how human aerosols and like pollutant type aerosols affect the climate. And it's all for climate change. That's what GLORY was for. That's what CALIPSO is for. But that is not what they're doing, because they're spraying. And we know that they're spraying, and we know that the Air Force is spraying. And we know that the UN has shut down so that only government entities can do spraying now, or hire private contractors to do the spraying for them and spray what they're telling them to. So, some real good information for people that are really on the chemtrail program. I'll put that in the description box. It also took me to GlobalPrecipitation mission, NASA SERVIR, which is connected to US aid, which was created and designed to help United Nations with global goals without making headlines. US aid is their Agenda 21. That's where a lot of our Agenda 21 stuff is going through, as far as going in and disarming other countries and stuff. So I don't trust anything that has to do with US aid. NASA LIDAR mission, and I've got a couple other related solicitations that I'll also put down there. And since we were talking about chemtrails, I'm going to finish this off with, this was just interesting, Proposers Day announcement for the IARPA Synthetic Holographic Observation Program, SHO. And IARPA is in the Intelligence Advanced Research Projects activity, and it comes right out of the Director of National Intelligence. And there's not a lot of solicitations that come out of there. And the ones that are coming out of there recently, if you pull those up, you'll see some of the other little projects that they're working on that are pretty dang interesting. So that is all I got for today, you guys.